at all of the paints they have now. They've brought in some new paint and really have an extensive collection for you. Good morning to you on this Wednesday morning. Later on after the 10 o'clock news, Tony Samus from the Midland Business Alliance will be with us. At 11 o'clock on Focus, we will learn about the Mid-Michigan Estates sales. But for this hour, we have several guests in the studio to talk about something that in the more recent years has become very prominent in education, particularly in one of the schools around here, Northwood University, and that is esports. They have won world titles and have quite an extensive program to train people in the esports world, both from the playing standpoint and the creating standpoint. And we have a couple of guests with us today. First of all, he is the assistant coach of the esports team. We say hello to Aiden Frosch. Aiden, good morning to you.
Good morning, Art. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for being with us. Also with us today, who is a team member, and she is Lexi Brown. Lexi, good morning.
Good morning.
And because I'm old, and this is a very complicated subject, I've asked Jonathan Dent to come in and translate this morning.
Good morning,
Art. Jonathan. Esports. Aiden, let me ask you, and because you played on the team when you went to Northwood, you're a graduate of Northwood, now working for Northwood. What is there about esports that has so attracted people, and what is it about it that can be a career?
Yeah, I mean, esports overall, there's a lot to it, but kind of at its core, it's really just competitive gaming, right? Just kind of how you could play, any sport in kind of an organized fashion. Esports is a lot like that, right? Instead of kind of getting together with your friends and playing soccer, and then, that leads up to kind of getting together for more competitive endeavors, right? Esports is the exact same thing. People get together, they form teams, and they go, I want to take this game seriously. And that's kind of the main appeal, is that anybody could kind of do it, right? There's not really any physicality. There's no real limitations for it, right? It's like, oh, I'm not tall enough to play basketball, right? That's not an issue.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't some of your players turned pro?
Yes.
There are pro leagues?
Yes. As of right now, I got to think about it, but I think we've had about 9 players go pro.
Wow. And they can make a living.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Lexi, what's your future?
There's a lot of auxiliary roles in esports, and that's kind of where I come in. I do compete on the Northwood Rainbow Six team, but there's also other career paths in esports that I like to advocate for. There's social media, broadcast, event coordination. There's so many different options within esports besides just playing.
It is a multifaceted study, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Aiden, from a standpoint of coaching these young people, I assume you had to be a player to be a good coach.
Yeah, I've been through it. I've probably been in esports since 2015, 2016, since I was a sophomore in high school. So I've been through it as a player, and then now I've kind of transitioned to this auxiliary, management coaching role, where my job is just kind of make sure people are, performing the best they can.
So let me ask you this: from the time you got in it, and he's not that old, folks. You're in your 20s, right?
I'm 23.
23. All right. Lexi's even younger. In the time you've been in it, how has it changed?
Honestly, it's changed a lot. So the big comparison that I could use is money investment, right? There's been a lot more just money and just stuff put into it. Back when I was getting into it, it was almost impossible to get into, and even the pros at the day weren't making livable. They couldn't make a career out of it, right? It was just kind of something to do on their side. And they have to have a side job. But the big change, honestly, has been the collegiate scene, kind of what we're a part of, right? That wasn't an option back in the day. I think when I started college, that was something new. And then now we're here where there's now world championships. There's, we're traveling all over the world, and kind of the world's your oyster now with collegiate esports.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And are there a lot of colleges participating now? Yes.
It varies per game, but I want to say for at least the game that I'm most familiar with, Overwatch, there's been about I think 1,000 colleges nationally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's big.
Oh. So given that, what is there about Northwood that sits at the pinnacle of all of this that can't be beat?
That's kind of a multi-layered question. The first off was kind of our original founding director, Cody Elson. He kind of was a great talent scout, and he was kind of the person who kind of laid the foundation for the program. Right, he had a great eye for talent and brought in a lot of up and coming players, which now have gone pro, and just kind of it snowballed from there, right? We started winning, and they started winning even more, and now kind of Northwood is a household name in just esports as a whole, where people hear about Northwood and they hear about Collegiate and they go, I want to go there because they win.
You've hinted at it a little bit here. Esports is a pretty broad umbrella.
Yeah.
When you look at it, what all games does Northwood's program encompass?
Yeah, so we have about 5 main titles. These are our core pillars, kind of what we're most known for.
And we should point out, whatever these titles are you're going to give us, they're available to the general public to go out and buy.
Yes.
Anybody can get them, right?
Yes.
Some of them are free.
Yeah, some of them
are free.
Yeah, some of them are even free. So kind of our core titles are Overwatch, Valorant, League of Legends, Smash Bros, and I'm missing one more.
Rocket League.
Rocket League.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then we have other. Those are kind of our main 5 that we're most known for. But we also have additional, other games underneath that. We have Rainbow Six. We have Counter-Strike. We have, there's so much. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Let me ask this. When you go to a competition, do you select the games you go for, or do you get randomly assigned a game when you get to the competition?
It depends on the event.
How do they mostly work?
Well, there'll be leagues that will run events or LANs, and it'll be for specific titles. Like our biggest one of the year, CECC, it'll be a bunch of different games like Overwatch, Smash, Valorant, League of Legends.
Mostly games you've been playing. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's kind of set games that are considered collegiate games.
Yeah. Okay.
And
okay.
that's just kind of due to just the level of investment. Some of these leagues, like Overwatch, Rocket League, and League of Legends and Valorant, all have investment from the creators of the game. So Overwatch, who's made by Blizzard, Blizzard directly puts money into the collegiate scene. Some of our smaller games, like Counter-Strike or Rainbow Six, and even kind of Smash in a way, those are kind of more funded by groups of people that like the game and want to create something out of it.
So at Northwood, is this a degree program? Can you get a degree in esports?
Yeah, there's the esports management degree, which is currently my minor, and there's classes for coaching
What's your
and
major?
events. I'm a major in marketing.
Oh, okay. so you do have a backup. All right.
Well, they kind of synergize too, especially I think we'll get to what you do a little bit more later on, Lexi, but there's more to esports than just playing it. There's a whole infrastructure around it. I was explaining...
Somebody's got to be creating it.
Yeah, I was explaining it to one of our colleagues last week, and she's like, well, why is this so popular? I said, because there are people that are really good at it, and there are people who are willing to pay to watch people who are really good at it. And that leads to a heck of a lot of opportunity outside of actually playing the game. So it's a huge industry nationally, and like what you've been saying with the growth of it over the years, it's exploded.
Has it reached the proportion yet where it's garnered television coverage? Are there any places where you can actually go watch competition and see the screens?
I believe ESPN carried something. I don't remember if it was Dota or League or something a few years ago.
I think it was League.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it, like you go into Buffalo Wild Wings and I've seen League of Legends on the TV.
Yeah. Yeah, and they'll carry that, but mostly it lives on its own platforms. Twitch, probably the biggest one that people would know about, but YouTube and other online platforms too.
All right, we have to take a break, something esports don't do in the middle of their games, and we will be back after these notes. Let me take a moment to tell you about Quick Lane Freeland, right next to my car dealer, McDonald Ford. Quick Lane Freeland is where you go for all of your routine maintenance. Now, what's routine maintenance? Well, oil changes, brakes, tires, and the like. And when I say tires, of course, you've been hearing me talk about their deal on tires, which is phenomenal, actually. They've been selling new tires for just $5 over cost. And they say you can't do better than that, but of course I will tell you how you can. These are brand names, by the way. They're not off-brands. These are brand names like Michelin, Goodyear, BF Goodrich. So you're saying to yourself, well, you said I can't do any better than that, and then you said I can. How can I do that? Well, the way you do that is that some of these tires come with additional $60 to $100 in rebates. There is extra for installation, including balancing and lifetime tire repairs. But while you're waiting, you can enjoy their wonderful customer lounge with free internet, free ice cream bars at Quick Lane Freeland, right next to McDonald Ford. If you're an eSportser, they got free internet, and you can sit in there with your machine and play games to your heart's content. Stop in, Quick Lane Freeland, right next to McDonald Ford. Do it today. You'll be glad you did, and your car will be glad you took it there, too.
Welcome to retirement. Now,
League of Legends. Okay? I've heard of
that has viewership that rivals the Super Bowl during their like World Championship playoffs.
Really?
Yes, it's one of like the most watched like esports, at least at a time.
How does one watch?
Normally through a website called Twitch, or you could also watch
Okay,
it
so
through
you
YouTube.
can watch it on a stream then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have to say League of Legends is a big one. I was going to think of that. But what got me into esports was CSGO, Counter-Strike. Their esports scene was huge when I was first getting into the industry, and it was the first esports scene I paid attention to. So it would have to be definitely CSGO for me or League of Legends.
So all of these sports, they seem to have something in common. Violence. Is that true?
Not entirely. One of the bigger ones, especially within the collegiate space, is Rocket League. Just kind of the best way to explain it is that it's 3v3 soccer, but instead of being a person, you're a car.
Car soccer.
It's car soccer.
Okay. Sure. Why not? What you can do anything video-wise. I mean, you can
Yeah.
do anything you want to do.
World's your oyster.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned that with my VR at home and everything. It's amazing what you can do today.
I know, right?
It's scary amazing for an 82-year-old who doesn't understand it all. But Jonathan,
Yeah.
you understand all of it, don't
Yeah,
you?
and if you even if you don't understand it, you can watch and take it in. It's more fun if you've played the games and you know like what you're looking at and stuff. But going back a little bit, we mentioned Twitch being kind of the main platform for this stuff, and I think Lexi, that's your bread and butter, the streaming part of it. That's kind of what brought this conversation about. I've got a question that you might be uniquely qualified to answer. Why do people watch other people play video games?
I think it's just a sense of community and entertainment at the end of the day. Like, why do you watch anything, really? And with the live streaming platform like Twitch, people will watch live streams just to feel like they're part of something or they're talking to somebody. My community specifically, we're really close. We talk a lot just about video games, about life, about school. So I think that's a big appeal, is the sense of community, and then also just they want to be entertained at the end of the day.
It's no different, Jonathan, than I watch hockey.
Yeah.
I've never skated in my life. Weak ankles, But I love the game.
Oh,
Can't play a lick of it, but I love the game. And I suspect what's happening with esports, and correct me if I'm wrong, Aiden, in this day and age, in this electronic age we live in, it's simply the times we live in now. Esports is coming into its own because we live in this age of electronics.
Yeah, I mean, you put it like the best way, Art. Like, that's how it is, right? More kids are playing video games growing up. It's something that they're more interested in. And then, especially in, our modern year of 2025, right? That's being pushed now and for some games, right? For example, Overwatch, whenever you load into the game, there's promotions for the esports scene. So, like, it's front and center in some of these games where people who are even new to the game, regardless of their age, are being kind of made aware of it.
Well, the other thing about that, too, I mean, you can think of that like movie trailers.
Yeah,
It's marketing to eventually monetize what you're doing. Because if there's no money involved in the long run, there's no esports in the long run. I mean, yeah, there may be on a personal level, but not on a professional or national level. You have to have money. Has to be monetized. Takes advertising and promotion, doesn't it, Lexi?
Yeah, it does.
And you enjoy every minute of that, don't you, Lexi?
Yeah, it's the most fun. That's why I love working for Northwood Esports and managing their socials. Is it's just so fun to highlight what our players do and just like share their accomplishments.
But you almost have to be a player to do it, don't you? I mean, you really have to understand
Yeah,
the
you have to
fundamentals
understand.
of the game. How long have you been playing?
For I think over 6 years.
And you're not that old.
No,
Oh,
I'm 21.
So, well, that's reasonable. And you've been playing since you were 15, roughly?
Yeah.
That's not too bad. Jonathan, when did you start playing?
Just video games in general, probably about the same time, 14, 15.
Well, I got news for you. I kidded before we went on the air. I told him I played Pong. I did play Pong. When it first came out, you used to find them in entryways of. I lived in New Jersey at the time, and they were in the entryway of diners. You'd go in, and there'd be a Pong machine sitting there, and you'd put in dime or whatever it was. I don't remember how much it cost now. And you'd play this stupid little game, watching the little ball go from side to side, and that was the first electronic introduction to what we have today in esports.
Did you have a crowd of kids standing around watching?
No, but
as you
sometimes
play?
you get somebody stopping and watching you do it.
You get an audience.
Yeah, you got an audience. You really did sometimes. Or you got people that were anxious for you to get done so they could play.
well,
You know? And that was the beginning, but you could see, even from that, you could see the future. You know, we're in the infancy of electronics in that way. Yeah, obviously the IC chip coming along did it. I mean, you know, in the old days where it's all transistors, you would have had a room this size to put in a machine to play. When the IC chips came along, miniaturized everything. You were able to squeeze it into a cabinet with a screen and stand there for 2 or 3 minutes watching this little ball go back and forth. What it was about it that fascinated you, I have no idea. None whatsoever. But there I was. And that's the way it is with esports. You get hooked on it, don't you? I was telling them before we went on the air, I just bought a computer capable of virtual reality, and I bought a headset and all that good stuff. Who would have dreamt of that 20 years ago? That you can immerse yourself in this three-dimensional world while you sit at home in front of your computer.
and you can interact with people halfway around the world.
If I chose to.
If you choose to.
Yeah, I could.
But
if I
it's
chose to.
it's possible that you can do that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I like the flight simulation and rail simulation stuff, and I know that there are flight sim competitions, typically using military aircraft, you know, dogfights and that kind of stuff. But it's so real that it's scary. Well, I don't know if you've been to it or not, but at Midland Center for the Arts, they have this current VR experience that takes you into the space station, and it's sold out. I mean, they have to keep extending it because people are fascinated by it. It really does capture you, doesn't it? When you sit down at that computer, Aiden, you're trapped, aren't you?
Yeah.
Come on now.
I am. Yeah. You got me. I can't deny it.
So how many hours a day do you spend at it? Of course, not as much now that you're not playing competitively, or are you playing competitively?
Yeah. Okay. Yes and no. So it's kind of funny. Like I work in video games now, and then I don't have time to play video games. Especially now, you know, I have a awesome girlfriend back home, so you know, we're it's just, you know, life stuff. I move, you know,
Well,
I'm getting older. I'm having to, you know.
There is an adage. Let me give you this adage, all right? The adage goes, when your avocation becomes your vocation, it's no longer your avocation. You can play it as a hobbyist or even a student. The minute it becomes business, and this is how you earn your living, it changes.
100%.
100%. We're going to take a break on that and be back as we talk about esports at Northwood University with our guests in studio.
The Saginaw Conservation.
We are back with you on the Art Lewis Show, talking about Northwood University's esports team. We have a member of the team with us today, Lexi Brown. We have the assistant coach. He is Aiden Frosch, and also sitting in with us is Jonathan Dent, who's young enough to explain to me what we're talking about this morning. Anyway, we were talking during the break, but I'm curious, Lexi, as to, like any sport, in order to be good at it, you have to practice.
Yeah.
How many hours a day do you spend at a computer screen practicing your art?
My game, Rainbow Six, it's a lot of team play, a lot of thinking. I think per day playing ranked, I'll spend at least like 4 hours.
Really? Well, but that's, you know, I mean, consider that to be homework, right? In
Yeah.
effect, because you have to. I mean, that's part of what you do. It's just part of what you do. Aiden, how long do you expect team members to practice? And how do you judge how they're doing?
It's kind of that's a little bit of I don't want to say a loaded question, but there's
Of course, it's a loaded
there's
question.
there's a lot of variation. It kind of depends on the game and kind of the speed of it. So, my two biggest examples just to see how drastic it is Overwatch and Rocket League. So, Overwatch on average for a player at like our level for like almost considered to be professional.
Pros, yeah.
Yeah, they play on average organized practice 4 hours a day. Like 4 hours a day,
Organized, so that's mandated.
Yeah,
gonna
like
practice. You're going to be on the team. You're going to practice.
Yeah, and then that's in addition to whatever else gameplay they do. So some days they only play that 4 hours, or some days it's if they really want to, they play 8, as long as they get their homework and everything else done. But
well, yeah, that was you anticipated our next question.
yeah,
You're still trying to go to college and get a degree.
of course, yeah. So there's a lot of even like the timings are weird because esports happens a lot at night, so a lot of these kids will kind of do everything during the day, and then kind of around 6 o'clock is whenever they switch into esports mode. So a lot of our competitions happen normally around 7 p.m. And then even for organized practice, a lot of it starts around 6 p.m.
So do you have, does Northwood have something like an esports lab?
Yes,
where
we
there's
do.
a whole banks of computers?
Yes.
How many people could play at a time?
I think with our lab, we're a larger one. We have about like 50 computers. 50, and we're actually getting an expansion.
So I got to ask this stupid question. Maybe it's not so stupid. I told you before we went on the air, I just bought a new computer. I bought a computer that's VR capable and all that good stuff. Computers get outdated quickly. If you got a lab with 50 computers in it, how often do you have to upgrade those computers to get the latest and greatest graphics card or CPU?
So the way we kind of did it, which kind of in hindsight is actually rather smart, we've done it in kind of what we call waves or generations. So they'll kind of be wave 1 of computers, which were originally here when the program was first founded back in 2019. So those are finally getting old enough where we have to start replacing them. And then they kind of add up on top of that where, when the program first started, there wasn't 50 computers. So we're now at a point where we have all these computers, and the way we kind of determine who gets what in terms of, performance and specs is based by the demands of the game. Each game we play has kind of different requirements to play. So games that need, something stronger, they get higher priority on you use the good computers.
So let me ask about that because you can go out and spend $1,800 on a gaming computer, and you can go out and spend $3,500 and $4,000 on a gaming computer. The expensive one is going to have a faster CPU. It's going to have a bigger graphics card. Can I get the same results on the cheaper one that I get on the expensive one for most games?
Yes, for most games. There's a couple big games out there like Call of Duty where you need a monster of a computer to run well and to like be future proofed. Because the big thing about with like the price points is kind of future proofing, and it's kind of how long you want to get the most out of your computer before you have to start worrying about replacements.
And I've noticed too a lot of changes because this new computer I've gotten, the CPU is liquid cooled. And it used to be liquid cooled, you'd have a monster of a computer.
Oh yeah.
Now it's just a regular, desk or tower, and not only that, but it's got all kinds of RGB lights that go around and do things, And I said to myself, gee, that's nice, but does it make my gaming experience any different? Or is it a distraction? I'm kind of thinking it's a distraction now, I put a new sound card in and it's got lighting on it, that lights up when it comes on, and I'm going, what do I need? And the side of the computer is glass, so you can see all this, Times have changed, haven't they? The computers are not the same as they used to be.
100%. Kind of on the topic too about all the RGB and stuff. I'm rather minimalist, so I
should have been.
I like the computer that I recently built has all this, crazy light stuff. I shut it off. I don't care.
Couldn't be
I have
me.
shut it off. I have done that a couple of times now.
My computer is a beacon. The case is completely glass, and there's just bright lights everywhere.
Well,
I love it.
that's like mine. The case has 3 fans in the front that are all LGB'd. It has one in the back that's LGB'd. The memory cards have RGBs on them. The sound card has an RGB on it. The only one that doesn't is the graphics card. It's in a white case. I'm going, what is this? You know, it is funny to look at it today and how we've come along, how electronics has propelled us into this new age. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
How often do you buy a new computer? Or build, in your case, build a new computer?
building and buying. I actually bought my most recent computer from the previous director, Cody. I probably do mine about every like 4 or 5 years.
Well, that's reasonable.
I stick with mine. I also kind of like, okay, this thing's getting bad, I'm gonna replace this. I don't really do full upgrades or like full replacements that often.
Yeah, but you change your graphics card if a new and better edition comes out?
No, it's more for me. My dad worked in IT, so he's very much of like until it's broken or until it's not, until it's broken and not working good.
Your dad would have got along with my dad. That's interesting. Jonathan, you have a computer?
I do.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
How often do you change it?
Same kind of thing. My dad worked in IT as well, and it's one of those use it until it breaks. A couple years ago, I had a power surge that fried a bunch of stuff, so I had to upgrade and swap out a ton of things. So I'm more up to date than I would normally be. But
I had a tower for 15 years, but I kept I upgraded everything but the CPU, and eventually I didn't have enough to do it with anymore. You know, I had to get rid of it. But it boggles my mind how you can build something today to the highest standard and by tomorrow it's obsolete. It's scary.
Yeah,
and a lot of these machines are purpose built too.
Well, yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
We're building this to game and in some cases to live stream as well. You talk about the practicing. How many hours of that, on average? How many hours of practice are you live streaming?
A lot of it. And also with my job, I've been a full-time content creator for a long time, and it's very system heavy when I'm streaming all the time. Not even just gameplay, me just talking or me working, I will be streaming that. So it's very system heavy.
Are you a senior, Lexi?
I'm a sophomore.
You're a sophomore?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, we're going to take a break on that and come back. We'll finish up with our guests when we return.
Sharpen herbicide takes your burn.
And we're back with you in studio, Lexi Brown and Aiden Frosch from Northwood University Esports. Lexi plays. She's a student. Aiden graduated and now is the assistant coach. And also with us, Jonathan Dent. I'd asked a question I wasn't going to ask on the air, but because of the answer, I'm going to ask it anyway. We look at college sports and professional sports, and you know they come into their own because you can bet on them all over the place in e-betting. You know, I mean, it's everywhere. Can we bet on esports?
Yes, you can.
That's amazing. Jonathan, have you got a question in all of this? I know you had asked a question about teams.
No, I think it's important to get back. While we have the expert here, Lexi, the live streaming portion of it, just for these last couple of minutes here, you mentioned that for hours on end, these athletes who are pursuing a career in esports, they're going to play professionally,
or
hopefully,
work in the industry,
in the industry. But a lot of that time is spent live on air, basically, online. But the aspect of live stream that you talked about a little bit earlier is the community building. To start with, and do not be modest in answering this question, how many viewers do you average?
It depends on the platform, because with Twitch, you know, it can be like average 20 to 40, depending on what I'm playing and when. On TikTok, I was signed to TikTok's like live streaming agency last year, and I peaked 2,000 viewers on one of my live streams. So
Yeah.
it depends.
Yeah,